Amanda, you're doing something in the same vein as well, in that you're trying to just take the narratives directly to the people. Give us a little bit about what you've been doing, and a little bit about where you're going, and how you see it fit into this whole environment, this whole ecosystem that we need to really develop at like a freaking warp 9 speed too. Like we don't have much time here.
No, we don't have much time. And it's actually kind of weird now that you mention it, that Darren and I, both being either two of the most hated staffers or most beloved, depending on who you're talking to, end up coming out and actually doing something with our, lives beside 24/7 grift in consulting or, policy tanks. That I think we're going to see a lot more people coming out of the administration who have absolutely no skills, just sort of flopping around and banking on having ever worked in the government, because that's the DC way. But what's weird about it is that, but what I feel like I'm hoping to do something similar, which is with the production company, and obviously being able to dive into some of these really, really big narratives. Like if you're going to be doing a film about something, you're talking at least a year of work. It's not like we obviously can't be as until we start turning out television, we can't start being as in the news cycle. But when you're looking at unraveling large narratives that are these turning point narratives, these historically relevant narratives that are that big, those are the kind of things that we want to continue doing. I mean, obviously Plot Against the President, sort of the first of that. But Darren's completely right that this conservative money is really built on the election cycle. And I also have recently found that, there's lots of people that are willing to invest in things if they think it's going to have an effect on an election. But the real actual, more galaxy brain take there is that who cares if you win the election if the person that's in and the people that are in can't accomplish what we set out to accomplish in the first place. And creating the ground for that is absolutely the place we need to be in. So I also am kind of hoping to take a step back and do the larger piece narratives on some of these issues, and regardless of the sort of 4-year cycle politics. And frankly, that's weirdly enough, that's what the left kind of does, right? The left almost has like a China take on this. One of the things we always talked about with China is China has a 500-year outlook. Right? They're looking at where they're going in the next 100 years. That's their plan. Whereas the United States can only see 4 years in front of its face every time because of the nature of our, political, our system. But the Republican Party does the same thing. The right, if you will, does the same thing, where it's like, well, we can promote culture and media and news and all of this stuff because it'll help us win the next election. Whereas the left is planning this long cultural march through the institutions for the last 60, 70 years. And what's our plan for 60 years from now? How on earth? That's how you find yourself in the position we're in now, where we're persecuted domestic terrorists because we believe in the Constitution that was actually what the country was founded on. That's how you find yourself in that position, by not looking far enough out into the future and just writing off things like Hollywood because it's lame, and academia because it's boring, and whatever it is, and just being like, oh, well, leftists always go to those places. I mean, the reason these institutions have completely corroded to the point where there's not one left, nothing. Even the military, that's one of the things that I think we talked about a little bit earlier. And frankly, another one of Darren's best troll themes, which is the tactical, I can't even talk about it, but the tactical items is like, it's one of the lessons that like it's the right has to learn. This sort of glorification of like the military will save us because the military agrees with us. We are now seeing, and the Band-Aid is being ripped off so quickly and painfully and correctly. And Tucker's piece on the pregnancy flight suits and everything that Darren's been talking about, it's so important, because to understand that we truly are without an institution is very, very important at this point.
I'd like to just restate the point that you made earlier, which is you two are bright, you're energetic, you're aggressive, you get things done.
One of us is a little brighter than the other, but I won't say that.
Maybe then all three of us. You get things done. You're people of action. You get into the administration, you get stymied by people all over the place looking to screw you and slow you over and just screw you over, slow you down. First thing you guys get out when you get out, you build media companies. So you're the people that take action, know what's going on. You've been stymieing. You don't get out of the administration, go work for some freaking lobbying firm, some kind of consultancy, some kind of bullshit think tank.
No one would hire us. Remember, I'm not even allowed on the premises of the Atlantic Council. And there is zero way that anybody's hiring me or Darren as a lobbyist.
I know, but there are things that you could do. The grift that you could be running could be endless. You could be collecting money, not getting anything done. Hell, you could be running campaigns in districts that have no chance of winning just to collect money. You could be doing all kinds of stuff. But what did you guys do? You guys started media companies. Why? Why is this important? Narrative, the stories. It's all about the damn stories, man. Everything is about the damn stories. And now that there's more stories all the time, everywhere, everyone has their own story. This is one of the biggest factors leading to the splintering and the polarization and the lack of unity and cohesion and cohesiveness, is the fact that we all can it's a good thing. We can all choose what narrative we want to believe instead of just being told the one story that we all believed in. It all got us rowing in the same direction on the same slave ship. Now we're all on our own ships. We're rowing in different directions. And most people actually are passive receivers of narrative, which means actually that the gates to their brain and their agency are wide open. Somebody can just come along and insert a program into their brain and they are off and running. And they don't even realize it. Like, how many people do you know who 10 years ago were reasonable, normal people and who were just busy in life, busy in career, had family, maybe, whatever, and they're distracted and they just keep receiving that information. And one of those hijacking stories got into their brain and now you can't even talk to them. You can't even talk to them because they're operating in a completely different reality. And so I'm excited to see that my two favorite people coming out of administration are now doing media work, because media work is really where it is. It's all about shaping and creating reality. Now, the real problem, though, besides the narratives, is the crisis of leadership, as you brought out. And I would be curious as to hear, the listeners are very interested and we want to get a little inside baseball and then talk about the big picture. But is there something in either one of your experiences, Darren or Amanda, that stands out terribly so, where the crisis of leadership was just obvious and maybe people got sacrificed, programs didn't get delivered, initiatives weren't taken?
Yeah, Darren got fired.
Let's start there.
True.
Let's start there.
Finally, to have the man himself on the channel, because this is always my number one example. Because I'm like, how the hell do you fire Darren Beattie? How do you have Darren Beattie in your administration, in speech writing, in communications? And I said this on your show. I think I said this on your, I can't remember, but I was like, it's insane. But I mean, that's, affected you more than anybody else. But obviously turned out to be the right thing, because look what you've done. But I think there's so many instances where we could have, the frustrating thing is you really felt the urgency. At least I did. I felt like there was no way we had 8 years. And I think a lot of people were kind of cooling their heels and imagining that there would be all these great things accomplished in the second term. There was a lot of immigration issues, the immigration bill that we never did. And I talk about this all the time. Every time there's one of these performative, supposedly America First congressmen or whatever proposing these immigration reforms that are nothing compared to the bill that we could have done, and that would have actually been legislation, and that would have actually solved the issue. And the fact that there's just, like I mean, pointed this out, talk about the grift. There's in the supposedly, Trumpian blessed policy group, the thing that, I mean, I don't care if people want to do that. Like, obviously every president has like a policy, a think tank or something that they're more associated with than others, and try to, keep their people going or whatever. The fact that there's not a single immigration expert in that, and people forget that that's the issue we wrote in on. It's the most important issue in the United States. I mean, it was until we were all declared domestic terrorists. But the fact that there's not a single immigration expert on that, what are their issues? Like, who cares about anything else? And that's sort of how things were treated in the administration, where it was like, oh, well, we're doing our our press placating projects right now. We're doing tree planting. We're doing infrastructure week for the 80th time. We're doing all of these other things, but no, we can't do the immigration bill because it's too controversial. We'll do it the second term or something, and here we are with this crisis at the border, and all of our various executive orders that are written in sand and blown away. So that's frustrating. But yeah, I mean, I'd say there's going to be a lot more of that. There's going to be candidates. There's going to be and I think we just have to be careful to not, I think as Darren had said, like, it's bigger than just the leadership. We have to create the environment for the leaders that we eventually choose to actually do what we want.